Kaguliro and Rowena Luboa. Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
You don't look like you're happy for independence.
We are.
Yeah, we are. People are saying, Ugandans don't really like Independence Day, so we won't even go into that. Yeah, we won't. But then, funny enough, that your business or your initiative is Pearls for her,
yeah.
So it's very Ugandan in every sense.
Yeah, we're very Ugandan.
Yes, so I'm surprised that this has been on for 8 months. It felt like when I was going through it, 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? Do you feel like that sometimes?
No.
It feels like the 8 months.
It does. The 8 months. It really does feel like the 8 months.
Because you're living it.
Yeah. We're happy with the progress that we've made.
That's good.
Yes.
So you're a lawyer and you're into events.
Yeah.
So then now somebody's wondering, so what's Pearls for her? So how best would we describe this for people who are watching?
So Pearls for Her is a platform for women to just come together and learn about every single part of a woman. So we talk about things from business to lifestyle to women's health to anything really that affects the Ugandan woman. So yeah, that's what Pearls for Her is.
All right, so it's I was just asking us how young women ended up wanting to create this kind of space. Was there a lack of this space that, because I mean a lot of people would argue, but there's so many ways for us women to talk about our issues. There's little groups for people in business and little groups for people in health and little groups for people in like whatever other industry. So what was the vision and why did you feel like for us young women there's a lack here?
Okay, so we created Pearls for Her because we felt like there was a space and there was a lag between like women who are doing so well in business and then those who are not. So we were looking at making sure that all these two areas can meet. These two women can meet each other and be able to communicate and share ideas and be able to help each other really. And it wasn't there in Uganda at that moment. Yeah, but then now we're so sure we've created that space. We've filled it up and we've been able to, and the women have been able to share and learn from each other. Yes.
So I'm intrigued in who, I think they would call it a target market. who are you speaking to? Are you speaking to the young woman fresh out of university, trying to have a career, trying to figure out life? Are you talking to women who have already established my business? I'm just stuck on where my market is. I can't market myself better. Who are you talking to?
So we're talking to the average young woman. Yeah, so that's our main target market. So people right out of campus, people who have been working for a couple of years and they are trying to figure out what next, because people make it sound like when you finish university you have everything figured out.
And we don't.
And we really don't. I don't think they ever prepare you for that after campus place. So that's really our target market. So those young women who believe that they knew everything and then they come into the world and they're like, oh my God,
nothing.
But it's also a space for like the older women who are looking for a space to talk to young women, to mentor, to come and meet these girls and teach them the things that they wish someone had told them when they were their age. So yeah.
Okay, so where do we start with Pearls for Her? So the first 8 months in, so the first month, for example, you and Rowena are sitting down trying to figure out
the plan.
The plan.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations women are going to have, and where do you start? Where were you thinking to start from? Were you thinking to start business? Were you thinking money? Were you thinking just wellness? What was the idea in the beginning? What kind of conversations were you hoping to have in the first month?
Okay, so in the first month, we were actually thinking about business, right?
Yeah,
we're actually thinking we were really centered around business. And then afterwards, we grew. Dushime is so passionate about wellness and mothers and pregnancy. Oh my God, she's like, well, we have to make this about mothers.
No, it's more like health and wellness. I feel like that's something as women that's expensive. Like, what are you about? No, but I have two older sisters who have 1 year olds, and that sort of opened my mind to how hard it is to be a mother and how hard it is to be a mother especially my sister who gave birth in Uganda, how expensive it is and how people never prepare you for the nitty-gritty things. So that's kind of but for me, mainly women's health, not just mothers, but general
women's health.
So we began from business. Then we went into
this is her interest. This is her side.
But my side really is business.
More like
entrepreneurship. everything. Business, entrepreneurship, finance covers the whole subject. So that's where we began from.
Okay.
So I began from business because when I was starting out, I actually had a business before, but then it failed, and it's okay. I learned from it. But then the reason why I wanted that space for business was because I felt like there are so many things I didn't learn. I didn't learn from school. I wasn't going to, like, I couldn't ask someone who was older than me about such advice about a business. And I felt like if I created such a platform, people, women who are already in business, could actually tell other women how they've done it, or even other people how they have done it. How have you come from the business plan to implementation? How have you done that? And that's what I began. That's what I wanted. I wanted it for every other person aside from myself.
Okay. What are the biggest surprises? Because just like you, I have started a few businesses that I've gone whoop, and I think they say that about Ugandan businesses. That we're very entrepreneurial. We start. The problem is to keep it going. After the first year, there's a bit of trouble there. So what kind of things were you? Because just like you said, especially for the mother side of the health side, there's a lot people don't tell you. So just like in business, what are some of those things you were hoping? I wish women knew this, or I wish young women knew this.
I think for me, even when we were starting, because like as Rowena said, I had a business that I started in university and then it failed. And I think for me, the thing was the finance side of business. Like no one ever tells you that, you know, that you won't make, like save every little coin or plan or have a budget or have an Excel sheet with how much money goes in and comes out and all those things, and how you can literally forget that how much you spent on something. I think the finance, and that's sort of the angle we've been going through. As
that sounds easy, so a lot of people don't even know that.
Just simple basic finances are things people don't know. They'll start a business and they'll just
eat out of their business.
And then they'll wonder, why aren't we making money, or why isn't it working? And I think for me, as we've been doing Balls for Her, I've also been learning a lot about my personal finances that I didn't understand before. So I think that's the one thing I really wanted people to learn.
Okay, well, so what was that first event that you guys had? It was Women in Business?
Yes.
The Women in Business Mixer.
Okay, what happened there? It feels like there's cocktails and then there's business. Oh, literally.
Cocktails and talk,
So you were telling me about how networking is not a thing we do. Is it not a thing women do, or Ugandans?
I think it's not a thing Ugandans do, but I think it's worse for women because we're not as confident when we go into spaces. We don't go into a place and demand to be heard. Or I can't meet someone who I admire and walk up to them. I'll feel like they'll look at me like I'm crazy.
Or like this chick is dying.
So I think that's something that we really don't do. And one of the most amazing things about why we called it a mixer is at the end, after we had an amazing panel with 6 Ugandan businesswomen, and then at the end it was amazing to see that the mixer actually happened. People mixed and talked and networked, and there's actually a group of women that started a business after that.
Really?
Yes. And who met there and discussed and thought
Whoa.
So it was a great networking event, and it's the event that sort of like pushed us to do this event more.
Okay, so you said you had a panel, because the whole time you were talking, I was wondering how 2 young women who wanted to start a business or a space for women and talk business would be able to find that other group that you said, people who are established. I wonder how you're convincing them, because it's just a thing for us Ugandans. When you look at young women starting something, you're saying they're not serious. Just let them work for a bit, like 3 years. Then when they're established and I can see some seriousness, I'll support them. So how did you find a bit of trouble trying to convince people about your vision?
But you see, I feel like that's the power of networking, because funny enough, all those women who were on the panel, there was a way we knew one of them, or we knew a friend who knew them. So like asking was so much easier. And to be honest, we were turned down. Like there were so many who we asked, and they were like, I know I'll be busy, or no, I'm not coming, no, I will not come. But then there are some who were like, and the women who we approached and who we approached were so willing. They were like, oh, this is a very nice idea, I would like to come. And they were so honest, especially Prim. Like Prim was really honest about her story, and she was very vocal.
What does Prim do?
So Prim is the founder of Kweli Skin Organics.
Oh, I use that on my skin. How did I not know that? Trust the Ugandan not to know these things. I actually use Kweli Skin Organics. Yes, and this is a Ugandan brand, and I was very excited that it actually is made out of, it's good for my skin. So many good things. I'm not here to market, but I'm glad. I'm glad that, let me tell you, why I liked Pearls for Hand, why it was important for me to bring you here. Most cases, when you say women in business and you go for a networking event that is women in business or for women, you find the same faces that you formed 3 years back this year.
Yes, yes.
And so what that does for me as a young woman is tell me that it's the same women occupying the same spaces, and which doesn't give me enough hope for me to say my sister can get an opportunity or I can get an opportunity. What I liked about you, for example, I've been eating from Kwenu. I didn't even know it was owned by a woman until you guys actually highlighted her. So was that one of the good things that you got out of? The fact that you met so many different women who were not known who own these magnificent businesses.
I actually remember when we were coming up with the panel of people we wanted to talk to, that was something really important for us. That we picked women who weren't on every billboard, on every newspaper, on 10 most famous women in Uganda, just like women who had done things that were different. I feel like some of them, like now after doing that, I met people like Nuba from Kwenu and a lot of other Ugandan women who are inspiring, and you can't imagine that some of these things are made in Uganda and they're doing these amazing things. So that's one of the, I think, benefits of starting Pearls for Her. You get to meet all these people, and you would never meet them before. So that's one of the reasons why doing events for us is important, that we can bring these people that you use their products, you know who they are, but you've never.
You didn't even know, just like I'm learning today. That's crazy. So what are women investing in, especially now that you're having that space where you listen to women, you see women, you meet women? Where are we putting our money? Where are we putting our minds? What kind of ideas are we having, especially in the business side? Are we putting money in wellness? Are we putting money in wellness? Is it this? Everyone says women will start boutiques. Like I don't know.
I would disagree. It's okay to start a boutique, but I think that we have a lot of, and I think that's a good thing. We have a lot of organic products. There's sort of a wave of that. I think that's what I'm seeing. There's Charlene Ketara who does hair products for natural hair. There are so many other women that are into organic products. I think that's coming from us. We're really tired of buying things from abroad. And we're really tired of spending
cheap.
Yes, of spending all that money, and yet these people buy the things from Uganda and then go. So I think for me that's why I would think women are going into like organic products and things like that. I think there's a sort of wave of those kind of businesses that's going on.
So I'm going to ask you your biggest surprise. So you have your first event, and I'm sure you must have been thinking, this better work, this better work. This
fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed. I want you to just share, and each, I'm sure they might be different, what your biggest surprise in a good way was out of the event, where you were like, oh, okay, that kind of worked.
I go first? Okay, so my biggest surprise was the fact that there were so many people who I actually cyber stalked people on Instagram. So there are people who I cyber stalk who I saw there, and I'm like, oh my god, she's here, like she actually wants to pick something. So I'm like, okay, that's good. And then what made me so happy and made my heart so warm, I was so excited, was when like all the women were talking to each other like after the event, and they were like communicating and sharing business cards and giving each other hugs and talking and laughing. That was my highlight. That was my highlight.
Yes.
I think for me it was the numbers. I remember when we were planning, we planned for 30 people.
30.
People who were there, I can't believe it, but we planned for 30 people, and I remember telling her, when I forget 25, I'll be happy. I'm not like, it was a small study. And we got over 100 people, and at some point we had to say, because we got a small venue and we had to say sold out, and we had people calling us and begging. And for me, I think that I was in shock. I was like, oh my god. So we weren't thinking this in our heads. People actually want this. People actually want a space to come and learn things like that. I was really shocked. But I think also when the panel was on, I've been to so many events with panels and people are talking or ignoring them. There were ladies at the front with notebooks. They were writing. And there were people who were there and they were serious. And I remember when the panel was on, everyone was quiet and people had notebooks and they were writing. I was in so
and people stayed
shock.
till the end. That was until 9.
And then even after it ended, people actually like stayed and asked. It was the Q&A was going to be an ending if we had stopped it. That for me was my biggest surprise when we did that event.
Yes, what I'm hearing is that you were surprised that as much as you were creating a space for women to talk about what affects us, how can we improve ourselves, you were surprised that there was an actual need.
Yes.
Because you were thinking it's just me and a couple of friends.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you start a business, you think, maybe the market is small, or sometimes you think it's in your head, especially things like this. You think, maybe it's a problem that's for me alone and my 5 friends and nobody else cares. But it was, shocking.
They say young, and not really young women, but the youths, which is the biggest population in this country, are 1, lazy, and 2, we're not innovative in terms of ideas. So we want the same jobs, aligned. For example, you're a lawyer. Yes. You also went to school for something, I'm sure, totally different from your job. But yet you have businesses and different things that are your passions. So do you find that it's really an advantage of generally youths, or women have a bigger disadvantage? Are we lazy? Are we afraid of stuff? Is it culture? Is it the country that's not enabling us to get out of our shell and think big? I'm asking that because the women you've met who have their pen and paper taking notes, are they trying to grow something for the Ugandan market? Are they thinking big? There's just something about men. When men want to start a business, they're thinking, they're just thinking big. You understand? They're thinking next year I'll be with Obama chilling. I'll be telling him about my ideas. Whereas women were thinking, if Rowena can buy my products, right? So, but are you seeing the need for women to grow bigger than they're growing now? Is there a constant call for being global, being big, making money from women? Are you seeing that hunger from women now?
I think the hunger is there, but I think the confidence to actually do it isn't. I think it's not.
Just broke my.
No, I'm being honest. I don't think we are lazy per se. Like, people are always like, oh, young people are lazy, but I think there's also the fear of trying and failing. I think nobody ever talks about failure in that sense.
Yes.
I think that we are there. We have the big ideas. We have, but we also we are so scared that we can't do it. It's like I was saying, we did our first event and we just wanted 25 people. It's very hard to believe that as a Ugandan woman, I'm going to start my business and Oprah is going to buy it. Do you get my product? And yet it can happen.
Yes,
I mean, in other industries, I've seen that happen for other Africa. I mean, Nigerians have taken over the world. But I think maybe because we don't see enough Ugandans who have reached there, we don't think it's possible for us.
Right, so we need examples.
Yes, we need to have these conversations in Pulse for Her, then we show you.
I like that.
And you have
create examples, and then actually. So it's just sad that we're running out of time, but I need to ask so after Women in Business, did you have any other events? Because I know you were part of the march.
We had an event like 2 months ago, a financial workshop, and we'll be having another event in November, which is a sort of it's called Katale and Cocktails, so it will be launching soon.
Katale and Cocktails.
So it's a business market for women, for women in business, and for businesses that cater to women's needs.
Yes. So what will I see there? Are there stalls,
so there'll be stalls, there'll be different products, there'll be an opportunity to have conversations with these business owners on how they're doing their things and what they're doing. Yeah, so things like that.
Okay, so if you want to buy something that's made by Ugandans,
that's the place to go.
We've talked about
and even services, by the way. It's not only products. If you have a service you provide, and you're a woman, then you can actually come as well. Like if you have an advertising agency, you can come and give your brochure there. It's just highlighting, celebrating women businesses.
Okay. All right. So and how they can find you? I know you're on Instagram.
Yes.
Pearls for Her UG.
Yes. On Instagram and Facebook, Pearls for Her UG.
Okay. So that's one way to reach out and say November is coming soon. How can I be part of it?
Yes.
And what's the bigger dream? Is Oprah going to attend one of the Pearls for Her?
Yes.
The big dream is that, and we also have an online magazine. So our dream is for that magazine to be bigger
and take off.
And take over. We want to be bigger than O and L. We want to be the essence of Africa.
Yes.
So that's one of our dreams.
You see what I was talking about? Dream. Bigger than 25 people.
But yes, Oprah has to be a speaker. That's in our dreams.
She will come.
She will come. Is that the same vision you see?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you girls are doing different businesses, and I don't know if you're going to put all your energy eventually into Pearls for Her, or you're going to have still these businesses work for you, and then also seep into this business.
I don't know if we've thought that far.
See? No, but ladies, it's been awesome getting to know you. November is not that far.
Yeah.
So you can come back and tell us all about
Katale
and Cocktails.
women's businesses, I'm telling you. So if you're a woman, young woman out there and you have a business, however small it is, right?
However small it is.
This is, I think, a no judgment zone. However small your business is, I think it'll be an opportunity for you to, you might not want to showcase yet. You're just afraid. Maybe just reach out to Pulse for Her and get to understand how the space is for women. In case you've been wondering, is there really space for young women to do something for themselves? I guess this is Exhibit A. Exhibit A. And I think there was no better conversation to have on independence than to show that young women in Uganda have a space. So thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
And happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence.
They've been smiling throughout the interview, so that's a good sign. That's it for Morning at MTV. Happy Independence and have a good day.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The Daily Monitor brings you the 12th Seeds of Gold Farm Clinic for the Northern region that will focus on dairy, maize, cassava,